3, 2, 1. All right, we're live, you guys. Happy Sunday night, everyone. This is DM Angelo from the DM and Friends. I got Mark Taramino with me this evening. We're just gonna hang out and just talk. I thought we'd do something different, and maybe every other Sunday or once a month Sunday. I know this was last minute, but I might do a little hangout, get a bunch of people on here. Some of you guys are welcome to come on and just hang out. We can just kind of shoot the SHIT. But yeah, I was talking with Mark a little earlier, and we were actually going to do this yesterday, and he just launched a Kickstarter, Fast Eddie, and I thought we'd pump that up for him a little bit here and show everybody what he's got going on. Yeah,
I'll be right there. I'm just setting up one thing.
Hey Freezer, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Quick streams on. Hide the memes. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Hey Mark. Hey, thanks for jumping on. It's Sunday night, and we're just here to hang out. And I didn't even bring a drink or anything. I just got my glasses. Yeah. But yeah. So what's going on, Mark? What's happening? Hey, Advance, how you doing?
Okay, well, thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for stopping by and watching. So yeah, definitely. So a lot of stuff going on this week. I just launched the new Kickstarter for my next two modules. The first one, they're one of them is a full-size adventure. It's called Fast Eddie and the Paradise Palace, and then the counterpart module in that Kickstarter is a mini adventure. And that one's called Heresy of the Hookah Priestess. And that one will be a mini adventure. So I just launched them this week. And I launched them yesterday. Normally, the weekend is the absolute worst time in the world to launch a Kickstarter. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
I'm not, but I've heard that. I've heard that from, I don't know who I heard that from, but I know most generally a lot of them launch during the week, sometime during the week or something. But yeah.
Yes, exactly. The best time to launch, when I normally would launch, would be on a Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning at for me at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Excuse me, is the best time to launch statistically, according to the internet. All the research.
Yeah, according to statistics. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason is because on the weekends people are not paying attention to their emails. They're out having fun and doing things and stuff like that, so they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
On Monday. The reason it's not on a Monday is because they're back to work and they're busy at work. Okay, so they don't want to be. But they say Tuesday is the day that the workload has settled down.
Yeah.
And now the people are checking their emails at 8 in the morning or whatever in the morning at their work. Yeah. And they go, oh, here comes the thing. Let me back it. So that's been the absolute golden time to launch a Kickstarter.
For you, yeah. And how many Kickstarters How many Kickstarters have you done so far in your kind of KS career?
Yes. Believe it or not, I've done 30 of them now.
You're a nut.
And I think the next guy up that's done a few more, 35 or so, is I think Venger Satanis. I think he's done maybe 35 or so or more. And then other people that I'm not sure of that have probably done more. But otherwise, it's that. Now, I'm just finishing up the last couple projects, the last two Kickstarters, pardon me, there's so many I'm working on. It's confusing.
Yeah, you guys, I don't even know how you keep track of stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, I didn't plan on this when I first started, but it became this, and then that's what I love to do now. So it's a miracle and amazing that I'm able to do this full time. So I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to complain.
Yeah, you're having fun. I get it.
Oh yeah. So what happens? So the Parlor of Leather and Lace and the Merrywinkle books. Those I just finished and released the PDFs to everyone. The Leather and Lace books are printed and they're ready to ship to those backers on that other campaign. So now this week, I just released the Merrywinkle book to them, and that'll go to print next week and ship next week. And then that'll close out that one. And then the Land of the Giants one will be finishing and shipping in April. This Then the other one, so confusing. There's so many. So then the other book, Rowdy Dragon Inn. That's like 75% written, and that'll be ready to go in April also to print.
And that's the one that just closed, I think, a couple weeks back, right?
Yeah, that just closed about 6 weeks ago or 7-8 weeks ago. Or yeah, definitely. And that'll be ready to go in April or something or May. So, anyways, and it's it's what you have to do in order to do this as a full, for those folks out there that if you're interested in making modules, to do it like a full-time business, what I realized is you kind of have to run things like concurrently. So you're finishing up some books here, you're launching a new one here, you're finishing up the other ones here, you're completing things. So it's just a process. Remember, I have to do all this stuff. I'm not, once again, I'm not complaining because I love doing this, but I'm just trying to explain to everyone. People might wonder, why is that? What about this? The reason, because you have to have all these things running concurrently. So you have some project going forward that's running right now in the future to get the future money coming in.
Yeah, and then you got to fulfill the other ones.
Exactly. Then you're finishing up the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's the process of you're always either finishing up one, working on another one, planning the next one. So that's why, if people are wondering why it works, why it has to work that way. And it has to work that way in order to make it work as a full-time business. So that's what's going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, let me switch to the comments real quick. Hey, Harpy guy 84, he says, I like your I like the modules. Thanks for jumping on. No one of consequence 1776. I've gotten every single one of Mark's modules. That's cool.
Thank you.
Matthew Sherman 1183. Hey, welcome, man. He says, hey guys, just a quick stop to say hello. I'll watch the full stream tomorrow. The Freezer has a question. I think you should be the one to answer this one. And then I think it'd be kind of cool to bring up the Kickstarter page, play the video there, and bring it up.
Yeah.
Would that be cool? So Freezer says, what constitutes a game to be a Kickstarter? I see some people just use it for ideas. For me, I am waiting for when my project is complete, like all art done and everything.
Okay, so yes, the further you are along in your project, the better it will be for the Kickstarter. Now, I've done some where I'm way deep into them before I launch them, so I have a lot of material to show. And then some other times, like the current one with the Eddie and the Palace thing, that one I just had sparse stuff just to cover and stuff, and kind of cover blurb and stuff ready to go. But
yeah,
for that one I didn't. But for you, if this is your first time, try to have as much material ready to go as possible, because once again, if it's your first time on Kickstarter, you want to present as much material as possible to show the potential backers that, hey, this is all pretty much done or ready to go. It doesn't have to be done. You just have to show that you've got a lot of material ready to go, and that will make the people more comfortable with backing your project.
Yeah, so it's probably a lot about consistency too. Like, if you got these one-off Kickstarters that come and they don't fulfill for a couple of years, and it's like, the second one that comes around, they're kind of hesitant. So if you can knock it out and do it in a timely fashion that you promised, I think that really, that says a lot for,
Yes, exactly. Because on that note, in the beginning, when I was just doing maybe 1 or 2 books per year, when I was taking care of my mom and all that stuff, like from 2013 on up to like 2023 time. Sometimes on those I might have fallen behind by a few months or something, but I would always catch up and deliver it. Then I got to a point where when in 2020 or so, where I was ahead of the curve, I would get the thing out and it would be completed, then I'd launch the next campaign. I didn't have any kind of lingering other campaigns finishing. But that was, once again, when I was not doing it full time. So once I started doing it full time in 2023, that's when I started having to go back to kind of like, I might fall behind on, maybe by a couple months, or sometimes as much as maybe 4 months or something, maybe 5 months. But I always deliver the projects. But it's just because, like I said, to run it as a full time business, I have to be juggling like today. Just before the live stream.
Yeah, we've been talking all day, and you've been kind of updating me all day on different kind of processes of what you were doing today. It's busy man, dude.
Sending out the Merrywinkle books and all that stuff, PDF there. I just finished doing the last compile into PDF to send out to everybody right before I got on the live stream. So you can see it's very much a lot of stuff involved.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
But I can put together. I can. I've done so many Kickstarters now. I can actually put together a complete Kickstarter in literally about 2 days, 3 days for regular folks that aren't used to it. Of course, it's a big time-consuming process. It takes months for people to plan a Kickstarter. But I've got it down to a science now because I know.
Yeah, exactly. After 30, I hope you would. Yeah.
And I didn't
hey,
realize
I want to go to the comments real quick. George H.C. Fields, he says, hey, Mark, Freezer just said thanks for that question. We got a couple other questions I'm going to read right now. Let me see. There was Jeremy Gard. Thanks for jumping on, Jeremy. He says, hey, Mark, the mad genius of OSR modules. That's awesome. Couple more questions. Here we got one from Harpy. He says, I was wondering, are there any modules focusing on goblins?
Yes. So I have a couple. I have the one I have called Village on the Borderlands. That one has a lot of goblin stuff in it. And shoot, there's so many now. I've done like literally almost 34 individual books with about another 18 on top of that are 5th edition counterpart. So a total of like, oh, there you go. Yeah, Village on the Borderlands has a lot of goblins, and that's a fun module.
I was just looking through this today.
Oh, okay. Did you like it? Yeah.
I mean, what I skimmed through. Yeah, I couldn't really.
Okay.
I didn't get too deep.
Oh, okay. Real quick. By the way, everybody in the comment section that's watching right now, after it's all over with, if you just email me at like info@darkwizardgames.com, I'll send you all the PDFs of everything for a gift. So just email me afterwards, and then you'll get everything, and you'll have that module too. So, but yeah, I have
info@darkwizards.com.
Info@darkwizardgames.com.
Games.com. That's right.
Or Mark@darkwizardgames.com. Yeah.
Okay, I just put that in the chat there. So another question. This one's from Freezer. He says, how many times do you play test? You probably got a great grasp on it, so probably one playthrough at least. Okay.
That's the way a normal person that's smart would do. For me, I don't quite have a time to do a full play test. So a lot of times what I'll do is as I create several encounters, I'll pass them along to several of my longtime supporters that I list in the credits as playtesters, and then they'll go just maybe playtest 1 or 2 encounters or stuff like that as much as possible. But ultimately, yes, I should be doing a more thorough playtesting on them. But just because of the nature of I'm all by myself and I can't coordinate local games or anything like that. So I kind of, and I don't like to send out full PDFs before they're released because there's a lot of changes going on. So the best that I can do is I send out little snippets, little encounters individually.
Little encounters. Yeah, that's cool.
So that's about the best I can do right now. But the one I started actually sitting down to playtest was the very first one, the Hanging Coffins module. We sat down to playtest it in person with some local friends. But then it quickly devolved into they started having a few little bits of Bourgeois or something, that it kind of quickly devolved into a mess. But anyways, I'll make sure that doesn't happen again the next time we test. Anyways, but yes, that's a great question. So yes, in a perfect world,
great questions, guys. Yeah, bring them on.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's funny you're talking about the how-tos of Kickstarters, and next month I'm going to start it's probably going to be once a month. I'm going to get various people on talking about how to bring an idea to a published work, and that's going to obviously incorporate Kickstarters or other avenues of getting it out there. So, man, I'd love to have you on because you're kind of the project guru at this point. So yeah.
Thank you for that.
Definitely.
But I guess
that's coming, guys. So we're gonna probably start. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided what day, but it'll be live. It'll have a panel of people. We're gonna we'll have. And the outline is 6 series, so it's going to be 6 months, once a month, kind of going through that process. So yeah. So I was planning to start doing. Let me see. George H. Fields, self-publishing later this year. He says not a. So George H.C. Fields says, not a question. I'm planning on start doing some self-publishing later this year. Mark has been the most generous with advice than any others I've talked with. That's awesome, dude. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. That's a good and when you do it, just ask me any questions and I'll give you as best as advice as I can. Yeah, I've helped almost over the years now at least 10 or more people get going,
Yeah.
either starting their first module or they started their first module and now they've been on to do a couple more. The whole key to longevity in it is being able to build a following. So once you do your first module, like I said, when I did my first one, the Vampire Queen, I had no idea if people were going to like it or hate it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate, yeah, that they liked it. So and then and then they liked the next one, and sort of built a following. So that's the best that you can hope to do is make the best adventure that you can, and just hope that you can start building a following of people. And then
Yeah.
that's what got me to this point. Because if I didn't have the following, we wouldn't be talking right now. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
said, when I did the first module, I wasn't saying I'm going to start a module business. You know what I mean? Back then, you know what I mean? I was just I just like to write a module back then. But otherwise, yes, and it turned out into what it's become now. So yeah.
Yeah. When did you kind of start? Like when was your first one out? That you it's been a minute, right? I mean,
2013. 2013 is
2013.
when I had
Wow.
it.
So you've been doing this for wow. Yeah.
So 13 years or
13
so.
years. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. Yeah, because when I did that first one, was just something I had wanted to do. Was I'd like to make a module, But what got me inspired though was back in 2003 when they came out with the D20 license. Because I saw suddenly, I was in the gaming store and I was like, what the heck? And I see suddenly Goodman Games with those
Yeah.
old the whatever they were. I forget what the series is called. The Dungeon Crawl was before they made Dungeon Crawl Classics. It was when they were
DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics.
yeah, but it was when they were just doing D20 only before they had made their own system.
Oh yeah, maybe somebody in the watching can say.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know it. I don't know. Okay.
the D20
Anyways.
one. They made like 100 modules or something. But I got into it back in the first one. I remember I still have it here. Goodman Games #3. It was written by Joseph Goodman himself. It was called something about Mysteries of the Drove or something like that. But when I saw that in the game store with the yellow stripe and it looked like an old module, I was like, what the heck? I was like, you can
Yeah.
do this? And that's what got me kind of interested in doing it. And then, like I said, in 2004, I feebly, and let me stress the word feebly, tried to do one back then, but it was a disaster. I didn't sell it. I didn't try to sell it. It was a disaster. I made a PDF only module. I made every single mistake in the book. I used like clip art from the internet, like Renaissance type pictures. It looked terrible. I made a map that looked terrible. I just everything was terrible about it. The story was terrible. Anyways, but the good news was out of that, actually technically I made that adventure, which I didn't officially release. And I also made a monsters book back then too, but I didn't release that either. However, some of the monsters from that monsters book did make it into my Monsters of Mayhem book years later. But for the most part, the best thing out of that experience was just doing it, making the mistakes, and then then I was like, oh well, that was a mistake, and then I forgot about it for years. And then in 2012, I discovered Kickstarter, and that's when I said, hey, maybe I could do that module thing again, but I could do it properly this time with the correct people,
Yeah.
hiring real artists, real map makers like Alyssa Faden, real artists like Jeff D and Brian McCraney, and you know what I mean, all these people, Bradley McDevitt.
Yeah.
And then my friend Alan Chamberlain, who did all the InDesign work. So I had the proper team then to kind of contract hire, and then
Yeah.
that was his.
And then all is history.
Then I made the book, and then people liked it, and I was like, okay, well that's done, and I was just kind of sitting around this one now what or something, and then suddenly people said, well, hey, why don't you make another one? And then I made another one, and another one, and then after the third one, there's a fear that happened with me, and it probably might happen to other people too. Was after you do the first one and it's it works out good, and then you do the second one. And the third one, you might start thinking, well, gee, I'm going to run out of ideas, because that's the way I had thought up to the third one. I was always kind of like, I just did threw all my best ideas into those first two. How am I going to come up with a third one? But I did the third one, which was Villains of the Undercity. And then after that point, it was just like that, just no barrier anymore. I just, okay, I'm gonna make a fourth one, both the Dwarven King, Palace of Dragon Princess number 5, and then it just kept going on and on. The key was a lot of times in those early ones, I would try to mimic like a traditional module, like Villains of the Undercity, Slave Pits of the Undercity. You know what I mean? It was kind of with the title. In those early ones, Palace of the Dragon Princess was similar to Palace of the Silver Princess. So those early ones, I tried that using similar names. But anyways, but making different modules based on those names. But anyways, but after that point, after the third one, there was no something. The fear of not having an idea to make something was just completely didn't exist anymore. I would just, and I started making a list, which I still have now. I've got almost 75 modules on the to-do list. So it just there was that fear. If you have it, just do the first few, and then that fear should go away, and then you'll creatively you'll be able to do your magic.
Yeah, dude, that's really I mean, spot on right there. Let's go to the comments. The one and only Steven Clements jumped on. He says, "Oh snap, my boys are at it." Good to see you, Steven. Harpy said, I'll come back to Harpy's question here because I want to come to your question about the modules, DM tips. But George HC says the first 52 DCC adventures by Goodman Games were for D&D 3E. Okay, interesting. That would have been about right.
And I have almost all of them. Go ahead.
Wow. And then he says,
go ahead.
Yeah. And then he also says the next dozen or so DC would see were for D&D 4E. Yeah, I think I remember those too. When the rest have been for their DCC system. Yeah, they were doing. I don't remember the licensing of it, but I remember they were doing a bunch that were under the D&D maybe under the D&D license. I'm not sure, but then they went to Dungeon Crawl Classics at some point. But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for that, George. Harpy has let me see. So Harpy's got 2 questions. So he says, "Oh, do your modules have DM tips available?" You can answer that question because he's asking about your modules, but I will say that I have a playlist on this channel, guys, for called DM Advice. If you want to check that out, I cover all kinds of different topics, but my opinion on stuff. So I could be wrong. So, anyways, yeah. So, do you have any DM tips available for in your modules?
Okay, excuse me. So in my modules in the DM section, I use the traditional box text for the players, and then DM. Yeah, I have the DM text. So in my modules, I will give the DM some suggestions sometimes in my thing, but I don't. But I also tell them to leave it open. I'll tell them I have an author's notes. I have a GM notes section. In the GM notes section, I'll tell them to go ahead and if they want to, they can modify the thing to fit in with their campaign and players. But as far as an individual encounter, yeah, sometimes in DM section individual encounters, I'll maybe make some suggestions about outcomes, what could happen. But if I do, I still tell them to use whatever they creatively think is best. For example, real quick, in the very first module, Coffins, there was an encounter where it's the token encounter where there's like a minotaur and he's arm wrestling with people and a bunch of monsters around him. They're like rah, cheering. So when the players come in, they have to arm wrestle the guy. Now the thing was, in the very first version, I just said, yeah, you arm wrestle and resolve it with combat or whatever, and that was it. But suddenly afterwards, somebody emailed me. They said, what happens if the players win? What happens in that encounter? How do you handle it? Yeah, and I was thinking, because what it is just a bunch of monsters with their boss. The boss is the Minotaur arm wrestling, and his subordinates support him around him, all the monsters.
Yeah.
So what happens if the players win? So I was thinking about it. I go, okay. I said and I added this into the future version too. I said if the players win, then what happens is I said they just have all the cheering monsters like, yeah, what? Like they all stop cheering for their boss, the Minotaur. And they look around kind of confused, and the Minotaur's kind of confused. And then the monsters dog tackle the Minotaur and kill him because he lost favor with them. You know what I mean? As their boss because he lost, which gives a perfect excuse to give the players a chance to escape without having to do combat with all the monsters. So
Got
there
it.
was a situation where I hadn't given an answer in the first version, but then when the player asked, I added that into the module so future DMs could have that option. But that's an
Yeah.
example there of giving some sort of specific advice to a given encounter. So to answer your
Yeah.
question completely, not every single encounter has a complete DM advice as far as what I would suggest doing, but some of them do. And also, on that note, when I write the box text, I tend to write it as if I was DMing. So I might say something like, "Yeah, the room is this, and the dungeon, something."
Yeah, that
And
makes sense.
yeah, go over there and explore, unless you're scared. You know what I mean? Or some kind of weird thing that you normally wouldn't put in a box text. You know what I mean? So once in a while, I'll include some real specific thing, like something that I would say, or I tend to write the box text like I would be DMing, like I would kind of describe. People tell me that it's very cinematic, is what they explain, the way that they perceive it. So
Yeah.
that's that's part of what the way I do it.
Huh. Cool.
That's just the way I naturally the DM thing.
Yeah, that's a great answer. One other question that came in from Harpy. He asked, he asked, is Monsters of Mayhem, when you were talking about that, is that book still available digitally?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's available digitally, and like I said, if you email me at mark@darkwizardgames.com, I'll go ahead and send you that PDF along with all the other PDFs to give. It's
Okay,
got my
Mark,
countries in it.
Dark Wizard Games.
Games.com.
.com. Okay, I'm gonna put that in there. So yeah, email who was that asked? That was Harpy. Yeah, email that link from right there, Mark's email address, and he'll hook you up. George HC Fields also said the 4th edition was had something called the GSL. That's right. Yeah, the game system license that differed from the old OGL. Yeah. God, it was such a long time ago. I don't. All the different licensing and stuff, and I wasn't really involved in a lot of that. So for me, I just don't even remember, to be honest. But that rings a bell. The GSL, yeah, game system license for 4E. Yeah. Did you ever play any 4E at all?
No, I had played 1E, 2E, and some 3.5 or 3rd edition, was it B20. But after that, I didn't play any 4E or really 5E, even though I have it as an option in some of my books for 5E. But I went all the way up to about 3.5 D20.
Yeah.
First edition, 2nd edition to
You started in first.
Primarily 1st edition and D20. Go ahead.
Yeah, you started in first. Yeah, you write for you write for 1st edition and for 5E. That's what your modules come out. But is that where you kind of started? Was in 1st edition?
Yeah, I started in 1st edition back in 1980. I was probably 11 years old, I think, with the traditional the Moldvay box set, the one with the dragon and the woman and the thing when they're fighting it, and then the expert set, the basic set, and then the expert set. I had those, and then I bought all the hardcover books, the DM guide, and all those things.
Yeah.
So those were primarily the ones that was what I started with, and that's sort of my favorite, just for because that's what I grew up with, basically.
Yeah.
But I understand people like 5th edition. It has better rules, I guess, for handling things. But so I make 5th edition stats in my books now going forward. I was making some individual 5th edition books, like I'd make a 1st edition book here, and I'd make a 5th edition counterpart book, separate books here. But now, for me, the 5th edition books just don't sell as well, and it's too much work to do it, to make it that. So what I'm just doing going forward is I'll make my 1st edition books with the 1st edition style, and then in there I'll also include 5th edition stats, which is what I've been doing on most of this.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because there's I mean, if the market isn't, I mean,
just so it'll still,
there's got to be people out there that want these for 5E. So
people tell me, they say, "Oh, please keep making the 5E stuff." So I'll just keep doing it, but I'll just incorporate into the 1st edition books as
so it's in one book. Yeah. Is that what you did with this next one?
Yeah, because to support 2 different book projects, it's complicated. I have to do 2 design layouts and 2 separate things of printing, and then they just don't sell as well.
Yeah.
So But I'll still keep the stats now in the new books going forward for the 1E style books, but they'll still have 5E stats to help still get that audience. Because so that'll help.
Well, I think we should bring up. Okay, here we go. Advanced says, let me bring it. Says, what kind of pushback or criticism, if any, have you received? People love your work, but what are the key learnings have you had? What key learnings have you had?
Okay, yeah. I know I have had some little bit of stuff once in a while over the years. Some of the original pushback I would get in the very beginning, the first modules, the first one, second one, third one, was the choice of first edition style artwork and related to like women and stuff like that, women in bikinis and the bikini chainmail and all that kind of stuff. In the very beginning, I had got a few, not very many. Everybody loved it. In other words, when I say people saying, what's going on with that bikini woman in the bikini chainmail, or why is she wearing a bikini? Those weren't backers or supporters of people. They were just random people on the internet that saw a project and or a Facebook post and decided to bring up that issue. Now, when I first started in 2013, I didn't realize that there was sort of a whole thing going on in that world where people were some people were not
sensitive to that,
about that. And I had to kind of deal with it a little bit there, but I just kept going with it anyways. My main response after a while was when somebody would say, why does she have to wear a bikini? I would say, well, if Conan can wear his bikini, then she can wear her bikini. And I'd post a picture of Conan. What's Conan wearing? A loincloth, right?
Yeah. Well,
okay, so there you go. So also, there's a funny story.
Well, I was gonna say this, and hold your thought there. I was gonna say this, and I'll probably get in trouble for this, but they don't have to buy the module.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because most of the time, anytime anybody's ever tried to present something negative, it usually brings in more people to support it suddenly. Because, like they said, no publicity is bad publicity. So, for example, real quick on that same note about pushback.
Yeah, please.
Real quick. So, on my second module, which was called Secret Machines of the Star Spawn, I have on the cover, I have a African American woman, a black woman on the cover, like a Foxy Brown type of, like a Pam Grier type from the 70s, with a big afro. And she's got kind of a bikini on, smiley face. She's got laser blasters. She's blasting the Star Spawn, and in the background there's a Viking guy like about helping her defend, but she's the main one on the thing battling the Star Spawn. And the Star Spawn, of course, has his tentacles that are like suckers, right? So I thought, hey, this would be funny. I could have her say something like, like Aunt Esther, you know what I mean? It says, watch it, sucker. You know what I mean? Or something while she's blasted, right? So I put that in the thing. I said, and she says, watch it, sucker, or something like that in the thing. Suddenly, everybody loved it, right? Except one thing suddenly popped up on the internet. At the time, I'm friends with him now, but Eric Tanker or Tanker Savern.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know him well.
Okay, I don't know him, personally that well, but his
he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy now. They let me post stuff all the time, but back then they didn't know me and I didn't know them. So he had posted a blog. Somebody notified me and said, "Hey, there's a blog about your thing." I said, "What?" Because I was brand new to everything, right?
Yeah.
Ken, there's a blog article. You can still find it on the web. That said, hey, there's a Kickstarter out here called Secret Machines of the Star Spawn. It's got a black woman, and she says, "Watch it, sucker," and she's got a thing, and this and this. Is that appropriate for a white author to make that character? And I was like taken out, off guard about the whole thing, right? Because I was still brand new to everything. And everybody that was in my circle of backers that were supporting me, they're like, "Oh, just ignore it. Don't get involved. Just ignore it." Okay, so I just kind of ignored it. Now that post suddenly, his blog, I looked at it, suddenly it had a bazillion people responding to it, like 30 or 40 people or something responding. And they were saying, well, what's wrong with that? Why can't you have a black woman on the cover? They said she has agency. She's the one that's doing it. And so what about the sucker thing? It's a joke. It's not something, you know what I mean? So from that, 6 people 6 people came and backed the project suddenly. They
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's proving your bad publicity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. Yeah.
Okay,
any publicity is good publicity, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and like 90% of those people were pro my project. They're like, well, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
The movies they do. So that was great. So, but otherwise, kind of pushback. Um, it hasn't been too much because usually when somebody's a fan becomes a fan of my work, they don't seem to have a problem with anything that I've been really doing per se. So it's usually people that don't that never seen any of my books or don't know anything about it. So yeah, and even sometimes there was times when somebody online on Facebook or something might make a questionable comment about it, like they're not sure what's going on here, and then I'll respond to them or maybe send them PDFs as a gift, and then suddenly they're like, oh wow, this is great. And then it turns them around suddenly into being like a supporter. You know what I mean? Because they suddenly when they actually read the stuff, then they like it. So I'm just
Yeah, it's a kind of a tough. I mean, I wish we could go back to, and this is just my opinion. I wish we could go back to the simpler times when
I read you.
I had thicker skin.
So I mean, to me, I guess it all boils down to our as an artist. If you're creating something, whether it's a book or a movie or whatever, you just have to kind of go with your gut, I guess, and do it. I mean, there's been many times, like I said, when I do something and I'm just kind of like rolling the dice per se. You know what I mean? If people are gonna like it, and knock on wood, so far most people seem to not have a problem with that. That are supporters. Like I said, people that don't know, then they might once in a while, raise an eyebrow or something. But for the most part, all the people that are supporters usually don't have any problems with anything.
Well, we got some other great comments here. Jeremy Gard, thanks for commenting. He says -2 AC bikini. Yeah, that's magical bikini. Harpy's got another question, but Steven has a very valid comment. D&D was best when we had more breasts. Yeah, I agree. Mark is definitely generous with his PDF library. That's pretty cool. Harpy Guy 84. I am wondering, do your modules have enemy equipment in them with stats and all that?
Yeah. Well, if I have a new magic item or some other kind of magic items, there are some times where I have put in stats or things like that. So if it's something, a specialty item that's part of the adventure, then I'll invent a new object or something and put in stats for that. But yes, almost everything in there does have stats and things like that. If that's the main question. So they all people also that are supporters of mine, that like all of my work, they will lost my now.
Brain fart. This is a brain fart from Mark. Here, hang on. Let me get this graphically here. Yeah, I wish I had a better one than this. Yeah. No, that's not a good one.
Yeah, but people like my stuff so much, some people, that they will put in even more money into Kickstarter, or they've even offered me like, oh hey, you need extra things, I'll help you finance things or something for different parts of the business coming up. So I have some really dedicated fans, almost like I guess when you have a YouTube channel, where they want to help support the channel by stuff like that. So I've even got fans that want to do that a lot of times. Well, they'll offer me, hey, I can help you, pay for some artwork or things like that if you ever need it.
Cool.
You don't have to pay me back. They'll say, I just want to help because I want you to keep doing what you're doing. They tell me. And some people are like, one time I posted a video a couple of years ago. It said, oh, update for all the Dark Wizard fans, like a video. And people were emailing me quickly. Oh my God, they were scared that I was going to go out of business or something. They're like, please don't go out of business. Just keep doing what you're doing, please. So I said, no. I said, as long as you guys keep supporting the projects, the Kickstarters, I can stay, doing this as long as until I so I can't or something.
Can't anymore. Yeah, back to the comments. Harpy Man says, I'd like to become a DM and give some module exclusive stuff as quest rewards if possible. Cool. Blair Blur, welcome. She says, how dare you bend the knee? Okay, I think you've been watching too much Game of Thrones. How do you decide on Dark Wizard? How did you decide on Dark Wizard Games? That's pretty good question. I don't think I've heard your answer on this.
As the name?
Yeah, for your company.
Oh, as the name of the business?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That took some time. I didn't officially settle on the Dark Wizard name as the main name until somewhere around 2017 or something. But when I first launched in 2013, I was going under the name of, like, the very first module was going under this terrible name. I had a name called Freak Show Games, which I didn't like. And I went with that one for the first couple modules. Then I switched it to Maximum Mayhem Dungeons as the name. But that was more of a product line. It still wasn't really a company name. So that's when around 2016, 2017, I came up with Dark Wizard Games. And I wanted specifically, when I came up with that name, first of all, I should have researched it more because I didn't realize at the time that there was a Nintendo game called Dark Wizard. And so in the very beginning, like, that kept coming up. Whenever you'd search for Dark Wizard Games, this Nintendo game thing would come up. Now the internet's figured out, oh, well, they mean, my stuff. So my things will come up. But as far as the name, I wanted specifically, when I came up with that name, I wanted the logo to specifically look like the old TSR logo with a wizard. So at the time, I told Alan, I said, well, I want to have because Alan designed the logo. I said, I want to have a wizard looking off to the side like the old TSR one.
Yeah.
And he did have, and I said, I wanted to have the dark horse font for the name. And then that basically, so then I sent him some examples of ideas of what the wizard should look like. And then he came up with 2 different logos, and the one that I have now was the best one.
It looks good.
So thanks for that. But yes, that was all done very intentionally, having the wizard looking to the side, a very rustic feel, all just because I wanted to have sort of the same old feeling as the old TSR logo.
Yeah. It's definitely reminiscent of the olden days. Another comment back to the comments. Blair Blur 4566 says, nice mutton chops. So she says those mutton chops are sick.
Thank you for that. It's because I also do acting in movies, TV, and music videos. I live in Los Angeles, so I do acting in the movies and TV and feature films. So I grew up this crazy look, because it helps me get a lot of parts in the movies. I always play like the sleazy used car salesman, the sleazy strip club owner, those kind of parts. The sleazy boxing boss guy that fixes the fight, or whatever, those kind of things.
Yeah.
I just had attended I just attended a premiere yesterday and a couple weeks ago, and then yesterday I'm in a low budget movie feature film called The Matchstick Flame 3 Red Mafia, and it's just out on Amazon right now. It's a feature film, and it's the 3rd one in a series, and I'm in all 3, and this is their latest one. It's called Matchstick Flame 3 Red Mafia, and I play a character called Ash, who's like one of the local Hollywood mob type characters, the boss of a bunch of mobster type guys. And in this film, they finally throw me in the jail, so I'm finally thrown in like a jail along with all my rabble rouser guys. We all got thrown into jail. So in the movie, the main character shows up who's like a cop. It's like a karate movie with a cop, like a cop karate guy, and he shows up to get information from us, and then he gets into a big fight and beats all my henchmen, and then he comes up to me and we have a big dialogue sequence together. We're like going back and forth. But anyways, I'll send you the link if you want for Amazon you can post it on the YouTube text if you want for that.
Got it. But, yeah, I will. Yeah.
And then also you can look me up on IMDb and you'll see I have about 85, 90 credits on IMDb. But actually, when you see the credits on IMDb, like 85 credits, you go, wow, 85 credits. In reality, I've almost done like double that. It's just that some of those other projects don't end up on IMDb because they never got completed, or for some reason they don't end up on there, or the person just never put them on there. So really, when you see somebody's IMDb and they say like, a certain amount of number, in reality, it's probably a little bit more like me, where I have all these other ones that just never made it onto IMDb yet or something. But I've been in other things like music videos. The biggest things, real quick, music videos was I was in a Kesha video called My Own Dance, and a Lil Wayne music video called Crazy. And then I was in Sabrina Carpenter's latest video a few months ago called Tears, but it ended up, it didn't do a lot of coverage. So even though I was cast as a principal actor and I had to audition for it and everything, you just kind of see me in the background when she's in the New York alleyway. You'll see my white hair come out. I throw a bucket of fish or something. And then, anyways, but there's several. You can see them all on my IMDb.
There's your famous picture right there.
Oh, there you go. So yeah. So, and also it's funny is when this picture was taken, I still had little tips that were still like my old hair dye, but now everything is all white, of course. But basically, that's the kind of part that I play. In fact, a lot of times when I get cast in something, they'll tell me specific. If they don't have an outfit for me to wear, they'll say, "Hey, wear that outfit," or wear similar to that, because it's so spot on. But yeah.
Okay, back to the comments here, and I think we should, back to the comments here. Blair says, "You look awful happy, DM Angelo." Yeah, I am. She says, "Adult films?" ? That's pretty cool. Have you ever published something written by a freelancer?
Okay, the closest thing to that would be in my Dread Swamp of the Banshee. It's the number 7 module. That one, my good friend Joe Pierce, who's I used to be a software engineer from 1994 professionally, from 1994 on up to 2015. So my good friend Joe Pierce, who was one of the bosses of an old game company called the Dreamers Guild back in the 90s. They did one of their biggest games was called Inherit the Earth, Request for the Orb. And then they also did a game called Fairy Tale 2, Halls of the Dead. That was another big one that got released in the 90s. Joe, who's one of the bosses that hired me back then as a programmer, fast forward, he got started. I helped him get started doing his own modules, and he's done like 7 of them now or something as well.
Wow.
So one of those, was one of the ones he had in his list behind the scenes was Dread Swamp of the Banshee, and we made a deal to buy it from him and publish it. And in doing so, though, as part of the process, I ended up making, with anything, it always happens. You're making little small tweaks here and there to fit it into feeling like a mayhem adventure. My adventures have a certain feeling the way I write them, and when somebody reads them, it's generally really obvious. Like, okay, this is a Mark adventure. The way it's written. So sometimes on third-party ones like Dread Swamp came in and we did it. It didn't quite initially feel as much like my writing. So I'd make a few little tweaks here and there, but then it became that. So I did do it once, and I might be open to it again at some point. But it's just the way it is now with everything. Right now, I'm not doing too many of those right now. But I do have other folks that are professional authors that have approached me that want to do stuff. And so in the future, I may be doing some more publishing like that. But so to answer your question is, I did it once so far with Dread Swamp with the Banshee, and it turned out well. And there may be other future ones as well.
Yeah.
But right now, it's easier for me to just do the whole thing because, it's a process. You know what I mean? Right. Especially dealing with a project.
Okay, I hope that answered the question. Who was that from? That was from. Oh God, I'm so horrible at keeping track of all this. Little C WA. Good evening. Yes, thanks for jumping on.
Looks like somebody asked if I've been typecasted.
Yeah, that's Blair.
Well, right now, that's a good thing for me because otherwise, when I didn't have look, no mustache, no sideburns, and just a normal haircut, I couldn't get booked on much of anything back in like 2013 when I first got back in. I've been in the business almost 30 years, but I got out for a while. I got back in 2011. Yeah. And back then, I was like a normal person. I just couldn't really get much of anything. And then I started slowly creating a weird look.
Yeah, and it hit.
Then suddenly, now it helps them. In other words, when they're looking for the sleazy strip club owner, they're normally looking at a bunch of kind of normal looking stuff. Then suddenly I show up with crazy man look. You know what I mean? Like, oh, wait a minute, this guy's perfect. In other words, it paints an easier picture in their head for the part that they didn't think about.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get this guy in. And I come in, oh God. And then they cast me. I do the audition. Usually then they'll cast me. And then a lot of times they'll say, wear that outfit or wear something similar. So to answer your question, right now it's been helping me rather than hurting me. And that's fine because, you know, I need to do as much acting work as I can. I did like seven parts last year or something, I think. 7 different things, music videos, movies and stuff.
Yeah, you Blair says definitely when I brought the picture up, she says definitely a sleazy strip club owner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
So a couple other questions.
Or patron also. I've done the patron thing too. The strip club patron as well.
Speaking of acting,
or it's the guy in the bar that grabs the woman on the butt or something and says, "Hey, baby, you know, how do you do it, sweetheart?" And then they slap you or something.
Yeah. And then they cut to the next scene. Yeah. Speaking of acting, we'll have the one and only Pat Kilbane on tomorrow night, which I'm really looking forward to talking with him. He has a extensive acting career behind him too. He was in many years of Mad TV for quite some time, so doing comedy there. Yeah, he'll be on tomorrow night. Yeah, she says it's a fun role to be typecasted as. Yeah, definitely cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so
real quick, sorry, because if you don't look like this, if you just look like a normal person, then you get cast as things like the policeman, the lawyer, the doctor, the attorney, you know, those kind of things, and those aren't quite as exciting.
See you later, George.
As far as I'm concerned, you know. But I just don't fit that. I kind of realize my niche is this, which gets me the most.
It's excellent. Stuff. Yeah. You made it back on this show, so yeah, I guess you've been hired. I love having you on, dude. You're full of some great stories. So.
Oh well, what's funny is sometimes when I get cast in a production, and then you go to do the on the shoot day when you're on the set and the production at the studio or whatever, you have to go through like what's called hair and makeup at some point. They'll bring you the thing. And whenever I go to hair and makeup, they're like, "Oh my God, your hair is perfect. You're don't change anything. We're not going to change anything. Just do this. Okay, perfect. Whatever." So, anyways, but
hair and makeup.
One thing that's real quick that's funny is you know, obviously for the most part I do mainly principal acting and stuff like that. Once in a while I used to do like background parts here and there as I needed money, things like that. But real quick on that note, several years ago, about 5-6 years ago, I was working on a show called I can't think of the name of it now. Shoot. It was some show. It's on my IMDb. But anyways, I had a cowboy hat on and a weird outfit and all the stuff and the rings and the chains and everything and a cowboy hat. And I'm just a general extra sitting at the counter in like a restaurant scene, right? And it was something like just the two of us or some kind of show, Splitting Up Together. Some show called Splitting Up Together a few years ago. Okay. And they're in the scene, it's at like a restaurant with a bunch of people, like restaurant. I'm at the counter just minding my own business. And there's 3 girls that are the main actresses, the stars of the show. And one of them, I didn't know this at the time, but one of them was a star of like 90210 or something at the time.
The
early days. I didn't know that. There's just three ladies talking, doing their scene of the stars of the show. Okay.
Sure.
I noticed, I'm sitting at the counter, they're doing general background stuff. And I noticed that one of them kept looking over at me. And I thought, oh, it's just my imagination or something.
Yeah, your wild imagination. Yeah.
Wild imagination, right? I was like, why is she scared? Am I doing something wrong? What am I doing? I'm not doing anything weird. You know what I mean? And then we finished the scene, right? She's the star of the show, right? And suddenly she gets up, walks over to me, and says, "Excuse me, can we get a picture together?" She was like, "Oh, your look." I said, "Oh, okay, sure, thank you. And yes, I'd love to get a picture." So I went outside and took pictures. It turns out when I looked up her name, she's like the star. She was like the star of like one of the 90210 people or something like that. Oh
wow, that's funny.
It was just hilarious because I thought I was doing something wrong, and no, she just wanted to come, which is completely opposite of the normal thing. Like normally you want to get a picture with a celebrity, not a picture with
Yeah,
somebody.
the other way around. Yeah.
Not
Oh,
the
you're a
celebrity wanted
celebrity.
to get a picture with a general background guy at the time. But
Yeah.
it was great. And the pictures are on my IMDb actually. You'll see a picture of me with a white cowboy hat and my pictures on IMDb with that young lady. I forget what her name is offhand, but it says it on my IMDb in the picture.
Yeah.
But anyways, but that's a fun
I'll have to go
example
look.
of
Yeah.
how suddenly the weird look affects people, out in the
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. That's super cool, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah. A couple other questions that I want to get to these. Harpy said, how did your cookbook come about? Was he asking you that? I like
Yeah.
it. I'd love to see another one from your company. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you like the cookbook? Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Yes, I'd like to do another one, and also I'd like to do one that's maybe like desserts or something like a dessert book also. And so what happened was real quick. So okay. So when Village on the Borderlands, the book that you showed earlier, the green one. Okay.
Yeah.
In Village on the Borderlands, I have a tavern called
The Pig something. Yeah.
The Inn of the Whistling Pig. Okay, is a tavern there, right? Okay. So as one of the stretch goals, I was like, oh, I got to come up with stretch goals. I don't know. I know. I'll offer a stretch goal of two recipes. Bless you. Two recipes from the Inn of the Whistling Pig in a PDF, and I'll say that's a stretch goal. I'll make two recipes in a PDF file for you, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I'm just trying to think of what else can I think of a stretch goal. So that was that. It was just a whim, just to be two only, right? So when I hit the stretch goal, in the middle of the campaign, when I was running the campaign, right, I hit a stretch goal and said, okay, well, let me go ahead and make that. So I started making the first two recipes, and I said, wait a second, this is looking pretty interesting. It was actually the first time that I made an InDesign document that wasn't just black and white module.
Yeah.
This time, I had actual full color and stuff with food and this and fancy stuff. I put the food in there. So, hey, this is pretty neat. I said, okay, why don't I made the first two in a PDF? I said, well, you know what? Heck it. I'm going to turn this into a 24-page book, everybody. I'll make it as a 24-page PDF for you all. And I'll make whatever, 14 recipes or something in there. I forget, 14 or 16 recipes. So then during the Kickstarter campaign for Borderlands, I suddenly threw together this whole recipe book as ended up being a completely separate
entity,
product.
yeah.
But I developed a PDF and gave it to everybody there with a complete PDF with everything, and I was able to print it. And then but that's how that came about. It was just completely unexpected. It was supposed to be just two recipes, and then I turned it into a whole book because I was like, well, heck it, this looks pretty neat. I want to make it into a real book, and then I just made it into a real book. So that's how that came about. But yes, I'll definitely want to do another one.
Wow.
Oh, in that book,
asked that question.
In that book too, Heidi Gygax provided Gary's family apple pie recipe. So that's actually the apple pie recipe in that book is the Gygax family's apple pie recipe that Gary was his favorite recipe. So that's in the book as well. And then the spaghetti recipe, and there's my mom. Is her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
fellow Italian here. Yes. Yeah. It's funny. Well, I'm going to be in LA in 2 weeks, but I'm only going to be there for a day. But next time I'm out, we ought to get together and go get some pasta somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. We can do that. Yeah, definitely. This, like I said, coming up, it's only a day. It'll be tough. Plus, I have to go in to do that thing tomorrow. I don't know if I told everybody, but I have
you posted it, I think, on Facebook, didn't you?
Yeah, I posted on Facebook. I have to, real quick, for those that don't know, about 10 months, I'll give you the abridged version. About 10 months ago, through routine blood tests and stuff, they discovered that I have a 5.3 centimeter kidney stone that's like the size of a walnut. It takes up the entirety of my right kidney, the entire thing. Even though I don't have any pain or anything, they're like, the doctor's like, oh my God, you don't have any pain. So the only way to get rid of it, you can't pass it because it's so big. It's like this.
Yeah.
You have to have a special surgery through a urologist in your back. It's called PCNL surgery. So long story short, I have to go in tomorrow in the morning for surgery, and I'll be in the hospital for 2 or 3 days or something. And then it takes about two weeks or more to recover from it. But it's basically the only way to get rid of this problem. And by the way, it's scary. no, I mean, kidneys don't. It's not a tiny thing. It's like a gigantic thing, and the
Like a
only
walnut. That's
is
crazy, dude.
yeah, and you have to have a special surgeon that can do it. Not any urologist can do it. You have to find a specialist in it, which isn't
Yeah.
easy with my insurance. So
Yeah.
long story short, it's taken about 10 months to get to this point from discovery to finally
Yeah.
getting to the surgery with all the insurance approvals and all this doctor.
Where are you going? What hospital, if you don't mind asking? I know you're over there by Cedars.
Oh, yeah. It's out there, like exactly. It's like the Cedars area. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been so much to deal with, and then even that they almost weren't able to use it. The hospital just a few days ago, they weren't sure if the insurance would use the hospital. So it's just been a big nightmare to deal with, and still keep positive.
Yeah.
It was so real quick, and this can apply obviously in my case, it's kidney stone. It is life threatening if I don't take care of it, it'll kill the kidney. I could die from it. Actually, if you don't get it taken care of, you'll die. Actually, so you have to get it taken. So it's very unsettled. So I can see how somebody's diagnosed with cancer or some other thing, where it's just so unsettling to know that you've got something inside you that you can't get rid of unless you have a doctor. You know what I mean, or somebody doing surgery to get it out. Otherwise, you'll die.
Yeah,
so
gnarly.
it's just very downtrodden and depressing knowing about it. So it's been hard to keep positive, and that's why I launched the Kickstarter a couple of days ago, kind of in a rush to get anyone going, because I didn't want to wait a month and then launch it, because then that would put me behind a month. Because for those that don't know, when you run a Kickstarter for 30 days or whatever it is, in this case 35, when it ends, it takes 18 days to get the money. So it's almost like a 2-month turnaround before you get the cash flow in. So I wanted to kind of get the thing going this week when I was still functional and get it all going. So it'll just run in the background, you know what I mean, while I'm recovering over the next month. But at the same time I'm recovering, I still have to deliver as best as I can the latest few books.
Yeah.
But after the surgery, when I get home on Wednesday or Thursday, I have to not lift heavy things or bend down a lot for the first few weeks until you get fully healed. So it'll be sort of a slow delivery over the next few weeks until I get fully healed. But basically, I have to go through that ordeal tomorrow. Plus, it's scary because you have to go under general anesthesia. And, knock on wood, there's always, hopefully everything will be okay, but there's always a slight chance for, you know what I mean? Anyways. Yeah. So hopefully everything will be okay. But everything's doctors.
We'll all be doing our end on our side, saying our prayers, crossing our fingers, however you choose to do what you do. But so you guys, he's mentioning his Kickstarter. That's the link to it right there. Scan that, and I'll put this in the show notes too. That's to the newest Kickstarter. But we got a couple other questions, and God, man, I keep falling behind here. Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to talk about that too, because you were mentioning at the beginning that you did the Kickstarter on the weekend, which you normally don't, and really this is the reason why, because tomorrow you're in surgery. So
that's why. Yeah, that's why I launched it on the weekend instead of on a Tuesday, because Tuesday I'll be in the hospital and I can't do it. But that's why also, because on a Tuesday, if I launch a normal campaign on a Tuesday morning, within the first 24 hours, I'll generally, on average, generate about $5,000 in sales on the very first 24 hours. But when you do it on a weekend, it did about 3,000 in the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
On that, and that's on the weekend.
3170 right now. Yeah.
See, if it would have been on Tuesday morning, we would have been at like 5,000 or more by now. But but that's fine. It'll catch up in the long run.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring up the scan code throughout the week. I got a couple more, actually 3 more live streams this week. A lot. It's a busy week for me. Advanced Game says, I think it's great that both of you guys are working hard on your craft, helping others along the way, and having a fun time doing it. The TTRPG community appreciates you. Pay it forward. Paying it forward myself. Thank you. That's cool. Thanks, Advance. Appreciate that.
Thank you. That's one of the folks I think I've given some advice to for that. So I'm always available to give advice, the best advice I can. You know what I mean? I'm just, all I know is from my experience at this stuff. But do other people give this much advice? I mean, in the industry, I mean, I try to let people know as much as possible how to
It's been my experience. It's been my experience that people, our community is pretty good about that. I mean, there's no, like when I started this YouTube channel, there was a couple guys that kind of coached me along on, hey, try this, try that, so it's been really helpful. And, they're also people I considered, friends too, but, it wasn't that. I think that generally, like matter of fact, I've been getting a lot of questions from people about their channels, and I'm like, I'm pretty shocked because I'm so new at it, but apparently they're seeing something in this that they want to do themselves, which I've kind of been showing and offering a little bit of advice and help, and when I've been asked. So I think it's just kind of, it's just how this community is. You're creating modules and you're successful at it, and people want to ask you, well, what do you think? Or how did you do this? And I think that's, kind of, the nature of our community. Everybody's, I mean, I like 99.9% of everybody in the community. Do I hang out with everybody? Not the 0.1%, you know what I mean? Of that, okay. You know what I'm trying to get at. I think everybody has been super good to each other,
yes.
And there's exceptions, obviously, but yeah. Blair is going to says she will sacrifice a hen to Odin. Hopefully it will please him and you will have a speedy recovery.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
She's the one that also said that you look like a sleazy strip club owner. So
yes, I do.
Blair's the best. She's one of our all-time, always on live stream chatter. So she's the best. Advance also says, yeah, we will keep you in your prayers, Mark. Make sure you keep the stone and sell it on eBay. Wow, that's a good idea. You will be fine.
They break it apart, though. That's the problem. But yes.
Yeah, they break it apart to get it out. Yeah.
And you'll be fine. I might have to have 2 surgeries. The first one, they go into the back. And then if they can't quite get it all, then like in a week or 2, then they have to do another one where they go in through the front somehow, but you're under anesthesia. So anyways, I'm hoping that they can do it all in one. But anyways, so.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want it the first time done and over with.
Yeah,
for sure. You don't want to go back a second time.
Yeah.
Advance says we will keep you in your prayers. Make sure you keep your stone. You will be fine. You will be fine, he says. And back at it, terrorizing us gamers at no time. So
I know, because I feel sorry for all the players, whatever. The DMs buy my modules, that when they run it for all the players are getting the brunt of all this madness.
Yeah.
But I try to make it as fun as possible,
Let's bring up your.
It's just the way I grew up playing it, or something where it was kind of ultra violent, and all the PCs were always like murder hobos all the time. But whenever I used to play with teenagers, they'd always want to like rob the whole village or something. You know what I mean? Or stuff. So, anyways, so that's why
I want to bring up your Kickstarter here. So this is.
Go ahead.
You see it? Yeah, there you go. So here's the Kickstarter, and that's what the QR code that I'm going to bring up too. Let me do that. That's be on the bottom. But yeah, there's the Kickstarter. I want to play this video. You showed this to me a while. I think it was a little while back. But yeah, you're at $3,000. Here's the video. I want to see if you can hear this.
I don't hear the audio. There should be like a motorcycle revving. Normally there's audio and stuff. There's dialogue here, but for some reason we don't hear the dialogue.
Can you hear the audio?
I don't hear any audio.
Oh man.
But that's okay. But I'll tell you about this real quick. Is what's interesting about the storyline was I wanted to do something about like how a rock and roll guy from the 80s that somehow gets transported into like the D&D world. So there's several ways you could do that, of course, like a time rift thing or something. But I thought, you know what? If it's a rock and roll guy that's like a heavy metal, it would play into the whole satanic panic thing, like my Legends of the Seven Golden Demons module. So I thought of a unique storyline where this guy is a rock and roll guy in the 80s, and he dies in like at the height of his fame, he dies in some kind of accident, and some kind of a crash or something, and then goes to hell. And then in hell, he said he ends up seeing with Asmodeus, and Asmodeus says, "Well, I've got this other deal for you. I'm going to bring you into this fantasy world, and you'll live again as a famous person in the fantasy world, making music and rock and roll, and bringing me even more souls or something from the fantasy world."
Yeah.
So that was that's a conduit to how I got the rock and roll guy from the 80s into the fantasy world. And then he has like a whole rock and roll type dungeon.
And that's Fast Eddie, right?
It's a Funhouse module. Go ahead.
That's Fast Eddie, right? That's the character name, Fast Eddie. Yeah.
Oh, Fast Eddie. Yeah, I call him Fast Eddie Valentine. So, because I know that Fast Eddie is kind of a popular name with stuff. So yeah. So that's how.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, shoot, I wish I could. If I had the video of it, I could do the audio. I just realized that's sharing from.
Well,
That was a screen share from. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, folks, after the live stream, go look at the Kickstarter page and you can play the video. It's kind of neat because I have the dark. I thought it was a good chance to be creative, because I'm certainly no expert editor or anything at all. I'm very limited in editing skills. But I thought it'd be neat because it has the Dark Wizard logo. Then you hear like the motorcycle revving sound. Like
no, that's perfect.
And all this stuff. Like, right? Did you like that part with the car?
Yeah.
So yeah. And then he burns it like a fiery car crash. And then he hears his voice. He says, "Well, hell, now I really am a hunk of burning love," or something. It goes into the pitch or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, yeah, you guys. So the QR code for his here, I'll put it up one more last time. Scan that. That'll take you to the Kickstarter.
And tell all your friends and people, help share because that certainly helps me out a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, tomorrow you go in for that, and you'll recover for a little bit. We'll have you back on here and hang out again. But
yeah,
you guys. Go ahead, Mark. What were you gonna say?
Thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, of course, man. Yeah. I love having you on here. I love just chatting, and stories and yeah. I wish you a lot of luck in this and what you got to do tomorrow too.
It's been really stressful to be able to maintain a clear mind. You know what I mean? Because there was so many hoops that am I going to find the right doctor? Because the first urologist that I met with, he was like, what, the first urologist I met with was on that same day that Charlie Kirk thing happened. That was the first urology meeting that happened that same day. And then he's sitting there showing me this gigantic CAT scan with this gigantic thing in there. He's like, "Man, you've got this serious thing here." And he goes, I can't do it because you need a specialist, and it's going to be hard to find that person." I'm thinking, great, wonderful.
Wow.
So it's just been this extremely stressful thing, but I've had to maintain a positive attitude.
Yeah, and work and do stuff. Yeah.
And I had to pay out of pocket like $2,200 a few months ago for that, because before you can go into surgery, the urologist wants you to go through a whole cardiology visit to make sure your heart is okay.
Yeah. Make sure you can handle anesthesia and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I had to go see a cardiologist, and my primary care guy under my insurance kept refusing to send me. He's like, "No, you don't need to do that. Just pass an EKG. You're fine." No. So I had to literally pay out of pocket to go see my original cardiologist, who's not under my insurance, from 2017 anyways. So it's just been incredibly stressful to maintain a positive outlook about it. So.
Wow.
And keep delivering everything and to be creative.
Yeah. Jeez.
But once we get through all this, everything will be fine. And then we've got plenty of modules to make. Like I said, I've got like 75 more on the list, and it keeps growing. So just as long as
you get through this, we'll have you back on, and we'll talk about the next project that's coming along, or we'll give an update on this. And 33 days to go on this, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys. Well, everybody, I just want to. I hope I got to everybody's questions. I think I did, but yeah, you guys. Thanks so much for jumping on. This was kind of an ad hoc Sunday. We'll probably do this every now and then. I'll try to announce it a little bit more earlier. You know, we just were on the phone. We're like, hey, let's go live real quick. Talk about your Kickstarter.
Yeah, this was just a quick live.
Yeah, literally a half hour before we started, I made the scheduled it. But yeah, a little bit more for let me plug this channel a little bit for. So tomorrow, you guys we're going to be on with Pat Kilbane, who was the director and producer and a lot of other things on the documentary called Dreams in Gary's Basement, that chronicled, you know, Gary's life and how D&D started. And then we're going to be talking about RPGhistory.net tomorrow, which is his kind of follow-up of that, where he's chronicling a lot of video that he did as he was making this documentary. So we got Pat Kilbane on tomorrow, which is going to be a lot of fun. Tuesday, I'm part of Zane and Bunny Daniels live stream showdown, where we have a whole bunch of different YouTube channels and I think there's a couple other different type of channel, Twitch and stuff like that. They're all just back to back on their launch day. So I'm part of that. I think it's at 2:00 my time. So maybe yeah, I can't remember. It's scheduled in the YouTube, but we got and the main artist is going to be with us on that, along with the two creators, Zane and Bunny Daniel. So that's Tuesday. And then Thursday, I got another discussion group. We got a topic, and we're gonna get on there and talk and just talk about gaming. So, and I'm trying to think what next week is. I think it's Bill Barsh is coming on from Pacesetter Games. He'll be on next Monday. But yeah, a lot of stuff coming out. And tomorrow, video is coming out, which is a collaboration video with Tankar's Tavern. Eric Tankar. I'm collaborate with him every Monday. And we're doing a video. He does one and I do one on the same subject, and we release them at the same time. It's been pretty fun.
Those are good. I noticed Joseph Blockman does a lot of those, and it seems to generate a lot of views and cross views. So that's really
it's really cool. Yeah, so the video that we're doing tomorrow that comes out is, why is old school D&D more dangerous than modern RPGs? So why does it feel more dangerous? And I just give my opinion on it. I go through 9 steps of why I feel that it's a lot more dangerous than, you know, old school gaming is a lot more dangerous than some of the modern stuff where you don't have 2 saves to die instead of 1, you know, that kind of stuff. So, but anyways, I go through my little checklist. I like to hear everybody's comments on it. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming up. And yeah, Mark, good luck tomorrow. And thanks for coming on, dude. And it's always a pleasure having you on. And thank you to all the people that commented today. Oh, and I missed your comment, Ahmed Hassan. He says, hope you get well soon, brother. Thanks for joining the channel. I don't think I've seen you before. Thanks for joining. Yeah, you guys, if you like more of this content, please hit the like button. It really kind of helps. And hit the subscribe for if you want more content like this. And yeah, guys, I'm DM Angelo. This is the DM and Friends. This is Mark Terramino, our guest tonight, and our friend. And yeah, you guys keep gaming. Take care, you guys. God bless. And game on.